Hey all, this is Sara Ondrako. I am a certified dog behavior consultant, and the purpose of this video is to introduce you to Fetch. Fetch is a software system that is built for animal trainers and animal behavior professionals. And the cool thing about it is that it is built by animal behavior professionals. So we are not white label. We don't really fit into any other industry. A lot of software systems out there are built as a generic platform, and then they try to pull in different industries, whether it's plumbing or scheduling for hair appointments. And then we kind of fold the training industry and the behavior industry into that. So today I want to introduce you to Fetch and show you how very different it is from other platforms. We've been working on this for the past 3.5 years. We've had a ton of input from multiple different trainers, from vet behaviorists, from behavior consultants, and it's been amazing. So today I'm just going to go over a quick little demo to kind of teach you a little bit about Fetch and how it can help organize your business, increase your efficacy, and really give you some of your time back, which has been massive for me in utilizing the software. So I'm going to jump right in it, and I will also show you kind of what the professional gets to see. So the professional working dashboard, as well as what your clients will see, because we have a client portal and a client working dashboard as well. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen with you real quick. So this is all about unleashing your business potential, of course. So what is Fetch? I just briefly went over this, but you can see a quick little snippet of part of our software system on the right-hand side. But it is a platform designed specifically for our industry, for animal behavior and training. And I say animal and not necessarily dog, because we are inclusive to felines, equine, avian, and canines as well. So horses, parrots, cats, dogs. At the moment, we've got the dog side launched, and within the next week, we're going to have cat forms up, and then we're going to roll in that bird language and important information for birds and for horses too. So that's why I say animals. So not just dog trainers, not just dog behavior professionals, but all four species in terms of trainers and behavior professionals at this time. The biggest thing about Fetch is that we didn't want it to be bulky, right? Like a giant Salesforce where there's all these different features that you may or may not use. So we tried to keep it pretty simple, pretty intuitive, and keep the features down to what people find most important and what makes organization in a business setting much more simple. So what problem were we looking to solve? So lots of inefficiencies. One of the things that I struggled with early on in my behavior consulting career was keeping track of client communications, what I sent, what I didn't, what they've looked at, what they've seen, what they haven't. And so I was using multiple different systems, Gmail for sending homework. I was using Dropbox, Google Drive, Sheets. I was using Calendly. I was using a different invoicing system. I tried Wave, I tried Stripe, I did all the things. So what we were looking to do with Fetch is kind of bring all of these things together as much as possible under one simple software system so that you weren't spending your time looking for different things and trying to connect those dots. And one of the things that I found in putting everything kind of in one place is that not only did it reduce a lot of admin time for me and give me my time back, so a lot less time out of the office, but my client compliancy went up because now I could keep track of where they were in the process. Can I advance them further before my next session? Do I need to pull back? And so on and so forth. So it made it a lot easier in terms of keeping track of everything that needed to be communicated between my client and myself. So what we're not, I mentioned we're not generic, we're not white label, we're not cookie cutter, we're specific to this industry. And everything is in-house. Literally two of us built this system. Nick is behind all of the code and everything that you see in terms of user experience and the technical side of things. And I brought in the behavior background side to help with organization and the flow, the work system flows. But I also reached out to a lot of different other professionals to gather their input and let them play with the system before it was ever even live. So most of what you'll see and the software system that you will use now or trial now was built by multiple people. It was a lot of ideas coming into one from people in our industry. So that's kind of a brief look at kind of what we are not. So some of the things in terms of problems that we're solving is keeping this really, really user-friendly, really easy to use. So when you sign up for a trial with Fetch, you will get tutorial videos that will kind of filter out, but we wanted it to be pretty simple to customize for the way you use the platform and how you would kind of best organize things for your own business, but we didn't want that customization to be difficult. So most of it is pretty user friendly to kind of get in there and kind of figure out how things roll. Now, with that being said, we do free onboarding. So we can always set up a one-on-one to help you get set up. If you have any difficulty loading your client lists that you had previously and you want to upload to Fetch, we can help you with all of that. We do not charge for that. That is all free and just a part of that setup process. So we do have some tutorial videos, and we will always be happy to help you one-on-one. And I'll give you my information at the end of this presentation too, so you can always get in touch with me and book a time on my calendar if you need a little bit of assistance as well. So here's an overview of some of the features that we're going to look at. We have a CRM system, so we can organize our clients. We can organize it by the specific client contact, by the animals, by the businesses that we work with. We are working on a veterinary referral system that I'll go over briefly too. This has a scheduling feature to it. So either you can put your availability out there and let people sign up when they want to on your schedule, or you can schedule those sessions specifically based on what time you want to put them in your conversations with your clients. We have Kanban boards, so project boards that not only help you kind of organize your projects, if you do articles, courses, books, things like that. It's a really good workflow to keep all of that extra stuff kind of organized, but then also your client flow, everything from your intake all the way through your last session with your client or your follow-up with your client. The client portal, of course, that's how we keep that communication flowing both directions, so you know they're staying on pace and on path. Roadmaps and homework. This is the game changer feature for me. We did build in templates that you can create, you can customize however you'd like. So for example, if you run a CGC class or a Star Puppy class, we'll look at some examples. You can do a homework template for each of your classes, week 1, week 2, week 3. You can put video resources in there. You can put products you want them to buy, things you want them to read ahead of time. And then you can group all of those things together so that you can just take that entire CGC class of 6 weeks with all of the homeworks, and you can just load all of it at once to each client that you send through that class. And then you can share it kind of one by one. So I'll show you how the homework and roadmaps really saves a ton of time. Groups and templates, that's putting everything together. It's customizing what you want in front of them and doing it in a way that it's much more efficient instead of having to type everything out for each individual person, having to share each resource individually each time, just makes things a lot easier. Invoicing system, we do have an invoicing system. It's super easy. We integrate with Stripe currently. We are looking at adding PayPal as an option as well, especially for people that are out of the United States. We are localized for other countries too, so we are an international platform. And there are many countries that don't use Stripe or can't integrate with Stripe, so we are adding PayPal as a feature for payments too. But it keeps track of everything for you. You can run reports, but all the invoicing is done through Fetch and records under the client and or under the dog. And it is a really neat way to kind of keep track of your payments and your systems. So we'll take a look at that. Resources, this is everything that you share with your client, being specific links to articles, videos you want them to watch, products that you want them to buy or recommend that they buy, and of course, links to outside sources. So links, videos, handouts, like your relaxation protocols, things like that. And then forms. So forms is a way to automate the intake process and get a payment on board and get people booked and get everybody in the system before you ever really need to have that first touch point. One of the things that I really like about the form system and Fetch in general is that it automates the easy things that require automation without taking out that personal touch. So as you know, working with animals, not only is there an emotional component, especially if you're working on the behavior side of things, but you've got the animal's emotions to deal with, you have the human's emotions to deal with, and kind of all this stuff going on. So your personal connection with that person, with that animal is really, really important. So we don't want everything automated to where it's always kind of an automated computer system that's kind of giving them information or helping them along. However, with the forms and the intake process, that is one of those easy things that we can automate for you so that it doesn't take the personal touch out of things, but it helps reduce the amount of work that you need to do up front to get the client in the system, to get them booked and to get them paid and get them ready to go. So we'll take a look at that. Okay. Couple things that we're working on in the future down the road. Vet Referrals is coming out very, very soon. In fact, by the time some of you are watching this, it might already actually be live. So Vet Referrals helps a lot with insurance. So as you know, some insurance companies will pay for behavior consultants, treatment programs, as well as dog trainers. However, they only pay for it through the primary care veterinarian. So for vets that refer to you, but they bill the client so that the client can bill their insurance and get that covered, we have a system that we've set up to where the vet can make a referral directly into the system. And from there, it can let you know whether you're to bill the animal hospital or you're to bill the client directly based on whether they have insurance or not. And that helps get everything rolling in the system so that you can help separate that when people need to claim dog training or behavior consulting on their insurance, but it needs to be billed through the vet hospital to do so. Rolling enrollment is another one that we're excited about coming up. So if you have, say, for example, you run puppy classes all year long, and when somebody gets a puppy, they can just kind of roll right in and start, at week 1, but that might be somebody else's week 4, and so on and so forth. So that's another thing that we're working on. And then finally, teams. This one is going to be huge. So right now, we do have a way that you can use Fetch if you have multiple trainers on board to keep it organized between their schedules or their virtual consultations and what that looks like. But you require the same login. So you can tag different people with different animals based on who's working with who, but it's not set up for separate logins for the same team. So what we're putting together, which we're looking at probably around the end of March to start beta testing. So if you're interested in testing it out and seeing how well it works or what you like or what you don't, please shoot me an email. I'll add you to that team. The 4 teams, we're looking at having kind of an admin level so you can control everything, and then a couple different tier levels so that you can assign who can kind of control what. So you don't have a disgruntled employee that like deletes your entire system or something like that, which we could recover it for you anyway. But all that to say, you can choose who can do what. So for right now, there's a workaround. You can use one login and you can do some different things with tags to kind of separate who's working with who. But pretty soon we'll have teams loaded to where you can have different logins and you can manage everyone's schedules, and it's awesome and seamless. And I'm excited. All right, so I'm gonna stop sharing so I can go ahead and pop you guys into the portal so you can see what it looks like from the professional dashboard side as well as the client side. So hang tight with me here while I get to that. All right, so here is the professional dashboard. This is what it looks like when you log into Fetch for the first time. Now, there's already some things populated here because I've got a few different testing accounts that we can peek at and look at together. But up on the right-hand side here, this is the professional, and all of the settings and account information is over here, which we'll peek at in a moment. But when you log in, this is what you're going to see. Forms for review. This is one of the automations that I was talking about that we'll go over. But what I'd like to do is just go left to right, kind of show you what it's all about, and then kind of walk you through some of the steps so you can see some of the features in action. And then we can look on the client portal side of things so you can see what the client sees too, because it's really streamlined. And the clients that I work with, we've got nothing but amazing feedback from. So first things first, you've got your CRM features. So your contacts here, they can be filtered by the client, which is right here, or you can go over here and filter by the animals. If you're like me, I often remember the animal's name, who they are, where they live, and I totally forget the client's information. So it's just an easier way to sort it if you need to, but there are also filters that you can search by various different tags, or if you have different trainers that are in here, different trainers that are working with them. And then finally, companies. So companies for vet referrals, this is where your companies are going to show up. If you're working with other professionals, you can have multiple professionals working with one individual on Fetch, and it keeps everything separate by those particular professionals and what their plans are for each animal, especially if they have multiple animals. So you can put your the training or the behavior professional or any other companies that you work with. I work in conjunction with a couple of other different type of animal professionals, such as pet sitters and treadmill companies and stuff like that. So those can all go in here. Over here is the Kanban board. So Client Pipeline is a Kanban board that we load up for everyone, no matter what. That way you have this because a lot of people love it and use it. And so if you want to track kind of your clients from the time they fill out a form with you all the way through kind of the end of their sessions or their time with you, you can. These are drag and drop. You can move them all around super easy. Anytime you click on one of the cards, it gives you the quick information about them. But even though this is already in here and preloaded for you, you can customize it, you can delete it, you can change it, you can do whatever you like. But here, where this drop down is, you can add as many other types of project boards as you want just to keep everything in your business organized. So for example, here I've got articles, I write articles for various people. So I have ideas and concepts, what I'm working on, what's in editing, what's scheduled, and so on and so forth. So it's just a great way to kind of keep track of various projects that you have going on. Over here are resources. So resources are all the things that you're going to share with people. These aren't necessarily products that you sell, but they can be if they're available on your website. But resources are any products that you want to be specific about. I like to use the muzzle example for this because when you say to your clients, I'd like you to get a muzzle for your dog and we're going to do some conditioning and it's going to be great. What kind of muzzle? Is it cloth? Is it basket? Is it wire? Is it silicone? Is it plastic? So instead of them Googling it or you saying go on Amazon and get a basket muzzle, you can just send them the link directly to the exact one, the exact size that you think would be the best for their animal. And it makes things so much easier. So your favorite treats, treat pouches, long lines, and so on and so forth. Aside from products, if you look over here, we've got videos. So any videos that you share with people that you want them to read or watch before or after homework, those are here. We have links. So other articles that you might suggest as supplemental information to kind of help with their progress and training. And of course, handouts too. So, different booklets, observation, exploration outings, your relaxation protocols, any of your handouts that you find helpful as you move along through the process. So you can also group all of these together, which I'll show you briefly so that you can upload multiple things at once. Invoicing, this is the invoicing system right here. So super, super easy to create and collect payments. You just push the plus button. You can put as many invoices in here, invoice items as you like in here. And you can always create things on the spot too. So if you go to start an invoice and say you're charging somebody something different than you normally would, you can create a one-time thing, or you can add a new successive payment thing if you're going to use it multiple times. But it's super simple. If you've ever used Stripe, it runs just like that. It'll populate the invoice. You just click send. It will send automated reminders if they don't pay within the time frame as well. And then it will also show you pop right up on their dashboard. So one of the things I hate talking about with my clients is money. So if they haven't paid their bill, I like that the system kind of puts it in front of them for me. So there's less of that uncomfortable conversation for me because most people just forget sometimes. So that's helpful. This little plus button is a quick add. So if you're on the phone with someone, you're out and about and you're on your mobile phone, you can just quickly add them as a contact or add a product or information that you come across in a store. This is the calendar. So this is where you keep track of all of your appointments, whether they're virtual, whether they're in person, whether it's a one-time event, whether it's bundled group events. So each of these you can pick to customize the color. One of the things I like to do is see how many virtuals I have versus in person. It just helps for me to look at my calendar and go, oh, okay, I've got 3 virtuals today and 4 in person, and one is I might have a puppy class or whatever else going on. So I like the color side to it, and you can customize that however you like. Also, if you have more than one trainer, you can also color code it by the person as well, if that makes it easy. If you're looking at adding several classes all at once, we do have a bundled group section. So you can add, say for example, like the Star Puppy class here, that would be 6 weeks total. So I've got all of those sessions loaded up. So when I add that, I just add all those classes all at once instead of each individual class to my calendar separately. It really helps with speeding things up in terms of admin time for adding things to the calendar. This is the scheduler here. This will be your own link that will populate. I'll show you what this looks like here. So it's very similar like Calendly if you've ever used Calendly prior, but this is one that I set up. So this is the behavior discovery call, my initial call, how much time it is. This is all stuff that I've input here. And then you can see these are my available slots. So when someone clicks on that, it'll show what's available. They'll click on that. It will ask for their information and then they'll put in their payment and boom, they're on my calendar. Super fast and easy. All right, moving on from the calendar, this is the task list. I really love this because you can set multiple task lists as well. So business administration, whether it's payroll or it's taxes or whatever you need to do. If you have an apprentice, I have an apprentice or other trainers or people that you work with, you can make a separate task list based on what is specific to them to kind of keep that organized, or you can keep it all in one task list. This is organized star, meaning priority first. So if it's something that you really need to get to, it's going to populate. You can see here on the dashboard, the stars are going to come first. After that, anything that you put a date in for, that's going to pop up directly after the stars. And then anything that doesn't have a date or a star will be lower priority. So it'll show up lower priority on the list. Okay, maps. So for your in-person session, this is to give you a quick look at where everybody is, especially in conjunction to one another. You don't have to have all of your clients on this. So your virtual clients don't need to show up on your map because you're likely not going to be traveling. So if you do hybrid, which is virtual and in-person, you might add them as in-person tagging wise so that they will populate on the map and you can see where they are. But if you like to control your own schedule, this is a really helpful feature because instead of driving from here, like Piper, for example, all the way over here to Bella, and then all the way back to JoJo, if you like to kind of control that, you can say, okay, I'm going to do Piper, JoJo, and Donnie on Monday, and then Bella is going to be Tuesday, and these guys are Wednesday, so that you can kind of clump them to make driving time a lot less, so you can see where everybody is here on the map. If you like for your clients to pick their own dates, if you're in person, I like to have a little more control over my schedule than that. But if you say you only have a small area and you can kind of get to everybody within 5 to 10 minutes, so it doesn't matter so much, you can actually create a schedule based on the day and based on the area. So if Mondays and Tuesdays you're in the south side of the city, then you can create availability on Mondays and Tuesdays so people can select from your calendar the in-person sessions. Or you can completely control that yourself. But then maybe even on Thursdays and Fridays, you're on the northeast side of the city. So you create a scheduler for people to select times with you in person for Thursdays and Fridays. And they only see the Thursday and Friday link because you don't want them on the same day as your south side people. So that's kind of a neat little feature to help you with scheduling, especially drive time and things like that. All right, couple things with settings that I want to show you that I think are really helpful. When you go into settings here, the first thing that you want to play with is forms, because this is the automation I was telling you about that makes life a lot easier. So for right now, we're getting ready to add, if you don't see it when you log in yet, it might already be there when you see this, add cats, parrots, and horses to the canines too. So these forms are not customizable yet, but what we did is take a bunch of information from everyone that works with these different species in this industry, as well as like my own canine questionnaire and intake forms, and we put together what we thought was best and most useful for everyone. So you can look through these forms, you can see them, you can click right here just to preview on them and see what it looks like for people to kind of go through the form and pick what's best for you. The questionnaire, whether it's whatever species it is always going to be kind of like the big daddy. It's going to be all the information that you need. Is there a bite history? Describe each of the bites. What's a 24-hour period look like? It's super in depth. So give me as much information as possible before I meet with you so I can put more information together. This is what most behavior professionals use. The intake form, still a lot of important information, your vaccine histories and how your animals get along with others and relationships and signalments and things like that, but it's not nearly as big as the questionnaire. So this is really kind of what I consider the dog trainer form, because you might not need all of the information that's in the questionnaire, and it's a little faster to fill out. And then we have the basic contact form. So this is really kind of just name, email, information. In fact, I'll show you this form. This is it. That's all there is to it. It's super brief. That way, if you're the kind of person that you just want the basics and you want to get on the phone with them and then kind of go from there, that's the form for you. Now, once you have your form selected, the link that's right here, these links are specific to you from your dashboard. So you're going to click on that link, copy that link to your clipboard, and that is the link that you're going to embed on your website. So if you do training and behavior, you might use both of these. So on your dog training page to sign up for obedience classes or Frisbee courses or whatever the case may be, where it says, fill out my form or train with me. This is the link that you're going to embed for that. Same with the canine questionnaire. It is, if your dog has separation related problems or fear aggression or is reactive, this is the form you're going to fill out. When they fill that out, Fetch gets all of that information and will, once you see that form and create that contact, automatically upload them as a contact, and all of the animal information will go in as well. And I'll show you what that looks like in just a sec. With messages, these are the messages that people receive once they've already completed a form. So here you can see I've got this. There are default messages already in there, but you can go in and you can tweak it and make it your own. So here, this behavior questionnaire is what's going to go out to clients that fill out this questionnaire form right here, right from your website. And this is just kind of next steps. So here I've got thanks for submitting, next step. Now here you can see I have a link. This link, for me, I like this part automated, goes directly to my Fetch scheduler that I set up with my discovery call. So I do all of my initial calls virtually. I work all behavior, so that way I can get them to book with me. This will take them to the payment system as well, so they can pay for that booking right off the bat. And then they're on my calendar. And now I have the questionnaire. I've got all my intake information that I need. They're already booked, so I can read all that ahead of time and I can be ready to roll with my first call with them without needing any other information. So edit this however you like. You can put whatever you want in here. You can also customize your email reminders. So here you can drop this down and you can see this is the email message that if they start to fill out your intake form, but maybe they stop and they don't complete it, you can send them an email reminder. And I'll show you what that looks like in just a moment. But the goal behind that is if they stop because they're like, oh, I don't know what the last rabies date, what date the last rabies vaccine was given. And so sometimes people will pause. This will send them a link that goes right back to the form they were already filling out and says, hey, you might want to finish, filling this out, and then we can kind of go from there. So that's an automated message that you can customize however you like. All right. I'm going to pop back over here for a moment. Client portal. This is where you can put some custom messages in there for them. Integrations. We do integrate with MailChimp. For newsletters, Google Calendar, Google Calendar reads Fetch and Fetch reads Google Calendar. So that way you're not double booking anything. Stripe here, this is to connect for your payment gateway. You will also see a PayPal one here shortly as well, if you don't already. Okay, so homeworks. This is one of the templates that I absolutely love. And like I was saying before, this is one of those major time savers. So here you can see all of these individual templates that I've put in. Okay, for example, CGC session 1, right? So in here, I typed all this out. I put in these resources that I want people to see, and I've added that. Once I have all of these made individually, then I can group them together. So here you'll see groups. So what will happen when I add a group to a client is it will load every one of these classes. Now, it won't share it with them because we don't want to overwhelm them with like, here's all the things that we're going to do. I want to share it week at a time or a session at a time. That way they follow kind of that pattern of what comes next, and they can build on the last session and then build on the next and advance further and further. So I'll show you kind of what that looks like in just a few moments. But those are the main things that I wanted to kind of show you here. Roadmaps you can also use templates for. All right, so let's go back to my dashboard. I'm going to show you the forms real quick and what that looks like. So this little form here that came in, this is George. This little check mark right here means they completed the entire form and it is ready for my review. If it were not, there'd be a red mark around this and it would show that it was not completed. If it was not completed, I could click on the form like I did there. You'd see the red dot here. I'd click this and there'd be an extra button that said send email reminder. I would click that and a little email button would pop up here, as well as right here to show me that an email reminder was sent to let them know, hey, go ahead and finish filling out the form. So from here, this is how you create your contacts. You go up to Manage Profile. You can see their information. If this is a duplicate, say they've already filled out a form or they worked with you a few years ago, something will pop up that says, oh, looks like they're already in the system, and you can just combine that form with their already existing profile. Create a card. This is what adds them directly to that Kanban board. So here I'm going to put them in the client pipeline. Say they've already booked a discovery session with me. I can click consult scheduled, and then I create my contact. I'm not going to do it. I'm just going to leave this little test guy on here for now. But when I hit create contact, what will happen is that will come off of the dashboard, and then they'll be in my contact list and be ready to roll. So let's take a peek at what the portal looks like with somebody that's already in here. So here's James Anderson. So even though this is a CRM system, most of them are built around the person. And the fun thing about Fetch is that it's really built around the animal. So yes, we have the client's information. This is how they were referred, and here are their animals. If they have multiple animals, you'll see multiple animals listed here, and each of them have their very own section because multiple animals might have different things going on. One might be seeing you for separation-related problems. One might be in your puppy class, so we keep everything separate. All their invoices, if you have any tasks associated with them, if they have portal access, that will show up here. That means they've already logged in and they've seen the information that you've shared with them. So let's go ahead and take a look at Poppy. Poppy is under James here. And under James, you're going to see pretty much everything that gets shared that's important. So notes, these are notes that I make for myself, or these are notes that you can actually share with your client through this little share button right here. When you share something, it populates to green, it puts it on their dashboard. But say you shared something you didn't mean to, like I don't need to tell James that Poppy has a chicken allergy because he already knows that. You can just unclick it right away and it will remove it from their dashboard just like that. So super easy. Roadmap, this is where I put in my, and this is a template that I make for my behavior recommendations or training plans. So you can put everything in here that is important that you do for your estimates and for your behavior plans or your training plans. And you can create that as a template. So that way you can just preload it each time you're going to give an overview of what their training or behavior plan looks like, what it's like to work with me, what your estimate is. And then you can customize it to that dog each time, but at least you don't have to recreate the whole entire thing. Homework, you can see here what I've shared and what I haven't. So this was a group that I preloaded. So I just loaded an entire group from this button. It put all of these homeworks from that group on there for me. And I've only shared the first one because we are only at week 1 right now. So I want him to focus on this specific homework. Now I'm going to open this just so you can see what it looks like. So I've got some information in here and some links, and then I put some resources. I want you to bring a clicker to class, and I want you to watch this video ahead of time. So those will automatically share with James when I hit that green share button. Sessions, this shows every session that I've shared with them as well that I've created for James, and anything that I share will pop up on his dashboard as well. Products that I've shared. Now, the important thing to note is that if I've shared products as part of homework, that will populate under each individual resource category as well. So any products from a homework session, any videos, and you can add them separately in here too. Same thing with sharing, you just hit the green button right there. Links, same thing, handouts, forms, their initial incoming forms, and then client uploads is, I think, a really cool way to make sure that everybody's on track. This is how I look for different behavior signals and communication signals from the dog to help the owner pull those out, point them out, and then kind of provide feedback and advance their program from there. So anytime they're working with their animal in between sessions, I like to say, just set your phone up, record some work with your dog or your cat or your parrot or your horse, and film yourself and go ahead and upload that in the client upload section so that you can share those videos with me. I can review those videos and I can give you feedback to kind of help point things out or keep you advancing. It's just a really cool way to see how they're doing when you're not right there in session. Same thing if you do everything virtually. You don't always get to be right in person with the animals, but if they can send you recordings, I think it makes things a lot easier to kind of keep your pulse on what's going on. All right, so that's pretty much what the professional dashboard looks like in terms of what's most important anyhow. You can always edit the animal, edit their vaccines, things like that. So now let me take you over to the client portal and let you see what that looks like. Okay. And we are going to use the same client as an example. So you can see here. Boom. Okay. So when your client logs in, this is what they're going to see. Now, you can tell them to, or you can give them a little bit of direction about what to expect and what section to section, but we really tried to make this as intuitive as possible so that everything is very easy to find and very organized. So even if you give your clients zero direction, aside from here's how to log in, which they get via email anyhow, and it's all automated, everything should be fairly easy for them to find. Whenever you share something with your client, it will populate in 2 places. One, they'll get a notification, which is this little red button here that you've shared something with them, and it will show up here in their list of things that have been shared. If it has a red mark, they haven't seen it just yet. But the other place that it will populate is in the section that it belongs. So if I shared sessions, those will populate here. If I shared products, those will populate here, and so on and so forth. Any homework that you share, that's going to come here. So you remember I only shared that CGC homework 1. So here's that. That's a copy of what I have, as well as the resources that they need for that ahead of time. So it shows up in the homework so that they know what it's relevant to as they're reviewing it, but then it'll also show up here where they need that. Here's their upload section, their notes, but their dashboard is really straightforward. Invoices, like I was mentioning, if he has an invoice that's open, they can click on this little icon and they can pay it right here. So it will show the due date, how much is due, and then it will say paid as soon as it's paid, unless they have another one pending, in which case that will show up on the list and when that due date is as well. Up here at the top, this is the professional that they're working with over on the left-hand side. If they're working with more than one, say a behavior professional for one dog and a trainer for another, they can toggle back and forth. A little drop down just like this will appear here, and they can toggle back and forth between those 2 professionals to see what information has been added or updated for whichever animal it pertains to. So that's a really fun little feature to go back and forth and keep everything organized when you're working with more than one professional. Task lists, they can have their own task lists, as many as they like. So if you send them a note that says, do a fun visit twice this week, they can add that to their task list, they can add it to their calendar, and that will make things easy for you to increase that compliance. One of the other feedbacks that we got at the last one, the last demo that I did, was homework reminders. So making sure that people are checking off that they're doing their homework that they share with you, so you know where they are in the process. So right now we're actually looking, based on that feedback, to look how we can add in reminders to help remind clients. We already have reminders in for sessions or for group training classes and things like that, that you can set the time that you want them to go out based on, like 48 hours, 24 hours a week. But we'll be working on those homework reminders so people are staying on task from session to session. All right. And then back at the top, that's pretty much it. This is just kind of their settings as well. If they want to change how they receive reminders, whether it's email or text or so on and so forth, that's kind of where they're going to do that too. These are the notes, anyone that you share. This message right here, this welcome message, there is a default one in there, but you can change that to however you like also, whatever you'd like to say as they're first getting familiar with the platform. So all right. So that's pretty much it. That's just those features in a nutshell. Like I said, it's pretty intuitive to figure out, but if you want any help whatsoever, we do have the free trial. So as you get in, you get those tutorial videos and you're moving along. That's really helpful. But honestly, the one-on-one can really help if you're looking to say, okay, how can I specifically use this for my business or my practice? Or here's how I set up my sessions or my schedule. What's a good way for me to set Fetch up? And customize that for my workflow and my process. I'm always happy to kind of help you work through that and set it up the best way possible, what's going to work the best for your workflow. So feel free to reach out. My email address in particular is Sara, Sara, at playfetch.io. Again, it's Sara at playfetch.io. And I will also add a link in the video description here that has a link to my calendar. So if you want to book a one-on-one, you want to ask questions, you're not sure about something, just pick a day and a time on my calendar and I'll be happy to walk you through that. I wish you guys the best, and I really, really hope that you enjoy using the software. Please provide any feedback you can. The system is literally built based on feedback and information that not just from me, but from other trainers and behavior professionals. And we've taken all that and put it together to make it the best possible tool for people that are in this industry. So I'd love to hear your feedback. I'd love to hear your questions, and sharing is caring. So if you think this will help somebody else out in the industry, please feel free to share this information with them as well. Thanks so much. I look forward to talking with you soon.